Sarah?
Stephen?
Where's grey shirt Dan?
Well, for Dan's constant interrupting, he had to do a session in the break room. And I'm afraid he just didn't mean it.
Again.
We got a new title sequence.
It was great. As someone who was always a bit iffy on the original title sequence,
I loved it.
I was
You're a
like,
hater.
I don't get the hype behind it. But this one, I was like, oh, this is fucking sick, because they don't have to bury the lead anymore. Like, they've had all seasons. So, there's going to be a shitload of analysis.
Yeah, more Easter eggs inside this title sequence for sure. You are a serial intro skipper, and I'm not, especially when it comes to Severance. I love the music, so I want to sit there and I want to have my time. So I was glad, at least with the new intro, we got to watch it.
I think I'm probably going to keep going just in case there's little differences.
Well, yeah,
Feels
if you
like
think
the
they might
show
change
would
it throughout
do
the
that.
episodes. Yeah, because
Yeah.
we didn't get an intro title for the first episode.
No, we just got the...
They finally dropped it. And there was some really interesting things in it because we had a lot of this really like balloon head imagery that came up.
Which is, in the first episode, his face was on a balloon. Like, welcome back, Mark.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, true. And so we've got, like little Mark grabbing onto little heads of balloons and...
And we see as grass, maybe we're moving out of winter finally.
Yeah, we get this really freaking cool shot of Cobel as like a faceless person, or Cobelvig, sorry.
Perhaps Cobelvig would be a helpful nomenclature.
Selvig and Milchick.
Yeah, looking down at what seems to be like a book. It looks very thin, like a storybook.
But she's
it's
like
got
watching
grass.
over everything, kind of.
Yeah, all these heads are on the ground
She's
now.
orchestrated it. And then we see the elevator, which has Miss Casey and Helly, like...
Right at the end, merging together.
Which I can only imagine is because Outie Mark loves his wife and Innie Mark loves Helly, maybe.
Love's a strong word. Guys, I hate it. I will always hate their relationship.
But yeah, it's incredible.
Please
I'm
no.
sure there's already like 15 breakdown videos pointing out things you haven't seen.
I mean, the opening elevator going up. It's ticking up this time, but that's maybe just because we're going to see more of Helena.
Or what should we call her? What's the insult?
Fetid moppet.
Yeah, fetid moppet.
Fetid moppet.
And there's also, along with like those head balloons being sort of maybe representing Innie Outie, you have actual physical Innie Outie Mark running around.
They're trying to like merge together, aren't they? Like they're trying to save each other.
Yeah, save each other. That's definitely the thing. Like him being inside his own brain. You assume maybe it's his own brain. It's like green. There's watery parts.
At the end of the intro, of course, we see what I thought was baby Kier. You briefly thought it was.
On initial impact, I was very excited. I thought it was Petey, but the beard is too long. It's Kier.
And it leads me to think, and I think the writer has said that there will be a reveal and then it will be like another deeper reveal. So maybe there is some cloning or there's something like this idea of trying to bring Kier back feels like the obvious.
Yeah, which is maybe why they don't say cloning. Maybe it's like a rebirthing. It's this
like when
creation of life.
Because I think madly that Kier is in the computers. Like when Kier speaks to Helly, I think that is Kier's consciousness. I know it sounds dumb.
Dan's just telling us from the break room that this just in. Dan believes that perhaps James is so weird and fuddy-duddy and old talking because he is just a constant replant of Kier. Like he is just constantly recycled through his bebes. If you can tell, I love this show and I think it's really cool. I'm excited to see what happens.
Oh yeah, it was another 10 out of 10.
Is it a banger?
We'll be on ratings. It's just a great show in a great series. Yeah. Selfishly, I was like, I think this would have been a really good dual season premiere.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have both.
Because now because all the stage is set.
Yeah.
Both the innies are set and the outies are set.
But it made it better because then we sat there, we got our Outie Mark and we all celebrated and cheered and it was awesome. We're like, hell yeah, it's an Outie episode.
Yeah. You and I were right that this was just a weekend. It was not 5 weeks.
Yes, that's one of the big takeaways. Oh, it was infuriating while watching it. Like we're in the Outies, he's just yelled, she's alive. And his sister's kind of like, not nonchalant, but she's like, hey, take the baby. You okay, buddy?
From her perspective, she went from being, where the fuck's my child? Has my child been kidnapped by
so
this
I guess
crazy
it's not
lady?
as priority.
Then all of a sudden her innie brother is going, she's alive.
Yeah.
It's
but in that
of
moment,
emotions.
you're like kind of annoyed that she's not pushing it, but also there's heaps of people at the party. She probably wants them to go away to have a private conversation with them first.
And I like that they cut out, what do you mean by that? You're holding that photo. Do you think Gemma's alive? They kind of cut that conversation out. We just have them at the kitchen,
having the discussion.
Going like, we've already had that initial few minutes of, here's what we think you meant. Mark's kind of been told, your innie was here for 39 minutes and all that.
Yeah.
And great, as you pointed out, some of the best sibling dialogue
Again,
stuff.
because like trying to talk to each other about it, and she's trying to be like helpful to him and wants to get through it, and he's there being like, oh, don't take a tone with me, and she's like, oh, fuck off, what are you doing? Like they just have this sibling argument in amongst trying to talk to each other, which is, it's good. Failed communication when you know each other too well.
What does he say his name is? Persephone.
Oh, yeah.
So what's Persephone in Greek mythology? Is that like
You're asking the wrong gal.
traveling to the underworld and getting something?
What's my name?
Persephone.
So yeah, we have the sibling dynamics, and then we're cutting to Helena.
First time properly with her. Like we had a moment at the start when we didn't know who she was in the first season, where Mr. Milchick is like, don't you just love the way the light shines on his face? Which is, when you watch it again, it's just him kissing ass to the boss's daughter, basically.
Yeah.
I love seeing the sunrise on his face.
Yeah, we get to see her properly in context in her role as, I think, running the building at least. Like, she's high up.
She definitely is involved in the company. We have this really strange and creepy interaction again with her dad. Like, I don't think she gets on with her dad at all. This feels like it's like Trump and his kids. Like, they don't want to be around him and they feel scared of him.
And he's annoyed at his outie daughter for letting this nonsense happen.
Because he just gets in her face and goes, fetid moppet.
Fetid moppet.
It means
Some
what
things
you
think
said.
it might be, like basically an old way of calling like someone that doesn't smell good or is smelly, or like the moppet I think is meant to be child, and I don't know.
Which, because it's so old sounding, kind of leads into this. Just how old are these people? Like, what is up with this Egan line?
When she said father in response, he kind of recoiled a little bit.
I just got there, he was disappointed in her, which then kind of adds a bit of tragedy to this Helena character, that if he has always been horrible and disapproving of her, like Logan Roy, but 10 times worse, that she missed out on a moment of him actually genuinely being caring. Because just 40 minutes before, he came into the bathroom and said, when I heard what she did to you, and she missed out on that moment.
I would love to see the moments after she realized that her innie tried to kill her.
Because she was grabbing her neck, which is because
she's reliving
Helly tried to kill her.
Yeah.
So that's still like playing on her mind, that she's literally in conflict with herself.
We get another interesting thing while we're on Helly, that she replays the footage of her and Mark.
Yeah, and I think that that's her plotting if we need to, I'm going to go down there and play on this and keep Mark there, because now he has to finish Cold Harbour, which is related to his wife.
Yes,
it
we've
might
seen
not
that.
just be his wife, who knows, but it's in relation to his wife.
Obviously, we get lots of open for interpretation moments where we see these characters or they're looking at stuff. So for me, like, yes, I think absolutely she's studying that relationship to try and replicate it when she goes in. But I don't know, I feel like there was a longing there of maybe she's not had any relationships.
She smiles.
Yeah, she does have this sort of smile. Maybe this character's never experienced that love or that need to connect with someone before something bad happens, especially if her dad's treating her that way the whole time.
And this show is obviously sophisticated enough to have like multiple motivations of like, we're going to do this because we need to make sure Cold Harbour goes well. So I'm going to pretend to be Helly and be really nice to him, but also privately be nice to kiss a guy and, hold a hand, maybe.
Giggle, kick my legs around.
And now we're going to get into this whole, like, if we were, Team Miss Casey, Team Helly.
It's a modern Twilight.
Miss Casey all the way. No question, right?
Miss Casey all the way.
Because that's always the interesting thing with Severance is, and we'll touch on it again with Dylan, there's always this idea of, are these severed versions thematically they're opposites, or is it them, the whole nature versus nurture, where it's like, hey, here they are now, they've clean slated, and we get to see who they are. It's always that debate of, would you be the same person if you grew up with a different family in a different part of the country? We got to meet, I forget what the gentleman's name is.
We both never caught his name. Stephen will forever refer to him as Orson Welles.
He looks and sounds like Orson Welles. Honestly, I won't be surprised if there's some plot twist that someone wants to clone Orson Welles. But no, he looks and sounds like Orson Welles in his later years, and he has Frolic tattooed on his hand.
Yes, when we see him in Pips.
Mr. Drummond. That was the gentleman's name.
Daddy. Should we just call him Daddy Frolic for now? Frolic is one of the tempers. It's woe, frolic, malice, and fear.
Dread. Like, seeing him there, we're not sure what his role exactly is.
No, but he's clearly watching Mark. That's all we can take from that episode.
And he's present in the meeting with Cobel and Helena.
Yes, and that's the other interesting thing, is that we see this moment of Cobel being reinstated and, oh my goodness, promoted.
Giving you a
Aren't
bullshit
you
new
lucky?
role.
Yeah.
Severance.
Severance Advisory Council.
So she literally got the sack, if you will. Hopefully she gets herself a good severance package. Sorry.
Do we think that this is a genuine role, or is this a let's keep her busy but keep her in our sights? Because she clearly was kind of a little bit off kilter, but we know she's genuinely passionate but batshit devoted.
She's so devoted that she has a fake work self and home self. Like, when she was working, she wasn't severed, but she acted like she was severed. That she was this weird lady at home, but then a very focused woman at work. But she wasn't severed. She played the part.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that has anything to do with the Lumen way, the Lumen beliefs of, like, there's your work self and home self.
I don't think she was ever, like, sexually infatuated with Mark. I think maybe she was just keeping a close eye because she knows how. Obviously, he's one of the more important ones with this Cold Harbour case.
Easy to spin it when you go, well, why was she involved this much? Oh, well, that was nothing to do with the company. That was her personal infatuation, yes.
Yeah, we have Helly's excuse of...
I was drunk.
I said these crazy things because I was lucid. I was drunk on top of having lumen medication.
I made the poor decision to consume alcohol while on a non-lumen medication for an arm rash.
Non-lumen, she said.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, they're already PRing this up.
Yeah, and then we have a nice reveal. We get a little bit more information about Irv and Dylan's Audis, where we see that they are actually, well, at least Dylan, I think, was the last one we saw, live in lumen housing as well.
Because we see the water drop. I don't think Irving does.
We have the, like, intercut between Irving getting fired, Dylan getting fired, and then we have this... establishing shot, and we have the logo as the roundabout. Are all the severed people in these different estates? You kind of thought it might have been the whole town.
Well, yeah, because we got the reveal confirmed. I'm not sure it was hidden away in season 1 that this is the ground zero of Lumen. Yeah. So it would make sense if they've been there since 1870. I'm imagining like how Disneyland is pretty much its own state. It's so big.
Yeah,
maybe
all
this
these
is
different
like
accommodations in Disney.
We noticed how we actually get to be in. I assume maybe they were in Pip's Diner in season 1 before, like when he meets. Oh, he was
with Petey because he was cashing in the.
Yeah, so I went, Pip's Diner, but then there's Philip Egan, who's one of the CEOs.
Right. So Philip.
It's a spin-off, so you can imagine there's probably thousands of Pip chains around the world.
And it makes sense why she's like, of course it's Pip's.
Yeah, which is, I love that these guys treat Lumen like we treat Apple. Like if someone was watching a show about Apple, we wouldn't explain, oh, Apple, who make the phones, and
Yeah.
It's kind of funny though, because it does feel somewhat like, a lot of famous logos are simple. But you can't help but see the Apple logo and the water droplet to natural things, and the irony that this is on Apple streaming service.
And when we finally get Milchick trying to get them back for Mark's sake, which again, it's only been a weekend, he brings fruit baskets, and then even Cobelvig mentions, oh, you're so simple, Mark. Of course you were swayed that easy with a fruit basket. Yeah, was there a pineapple? And again, we still don't know because we have these fruit parties in season 1. And to me, with such a religious undertone show, is it just because fruit has a lot of religious undertones to it? Is there something else more to fruit
There probably
maybe it's
is.
to do with life and...
Because I just looked at it as just productivity. They want to just feed them healthy food, brain food or whatever.
And if it is something to do with water, then they're
Yeah.
using their water for this food, and maybe this food's just extra amazing. I feel like I remember hearing something about in real life or in America, they were like basically I'm being dumb and I'm thinking about the whole underground chocolate thing. Of like, you know how they keep all the good chocolate and then they make all the other chocolate shit. Like they don't release as much of the, the chocolate cartel.
Oh, are you thinking about Wonka?
I
thought you meant
now.
like a real
I know, and I've
thing.
realized that I'm lucidly putting that into real world. And I'm taking it back. I'm saying Wonka. Is it like a chocolate cartel thing where they have the best water and they use it for their produce, so people buy their produce, and like it's a monopoly on not just water but everything? Anyway,
That might be something.
I'm
that might be
deviating.
something.
Cut it out.
No, there's something there.
We do confirm Dylan has a wife.
Milchick does a lot. And it's funny how he's in charge of the severed floor. He goes to Irving, and Irving's Audi's like, I've had a normal night. When he definitely didn't, because he would have went from painting to then knocking on a random man's door. And we didn't see...
Well, I think outside Irving has already visited Bert in the past because he had the maps.
Because then we see Christopher Walken, who's back at Irving's place later, like looking at Irving. But he plays it completely like, no, everything's fine. So we already suspected that Irving's Audi is obviously onto them because of the paintings.
Yeah.
And then what was most interesting for me, we actually get to see Dylan's Audi properly, fully. We get kind of explained because we were wondering, what do you mean the last thing? Because he was knocked out. Clearly he was just knocked, dragged to the elevator, and then we see him coming up the stairs with his, with ice on his head. So he was just quickly
That's
carted
all we
out
can
of
think
there.
right now, yeah.
Yeah, and he gets told he's fired due to a work altercation. He goes, "What am I going to tell my wife?" Then the next day he goes to a door factory, which is very
Sees himself
whimsical.
in the mirror, basically.
Sees his older
It's
self,
fun.
basically. The guy's modelled off him.
Has a banger of an answer about his type of door. What would be your door? Who are you as a door? Tell us. Why? In detail. Colour, stain, finish, windows maybe, perhaps? Question mark?
Because I'm sure this is how factories work, but we have the great wide shot and we've seen the doors on the conveyor belts. Just makes you
Monsters,
think of
Inc.
Yeah, just makes you think Monsters Inc. And there's a great way where he says, "Oh, big door prize." For a second we thought it was going to be like, that's fucking brilliant. Instead
Like,
he's just
kind of almost a nod to Parks and Rec.
Yeah, Adam Scott.
Being the most hilarious accountant there is.
Yeah.
Calculator.
The funny guy at the boring workplace, basically.
Yeah.
And
no, he takes great offence to it.
takes great offence, and then he has a lot. My favourite line is, "You think we're a carpet factory? We're doors. We're not down dirty with the carpets." It's whimsical and kind of adds to the whimsical nature. This whole show has up and down. That's quite a whimsical little a guy who lives by the doors. It seems quite silly, but then we get a full-on, I'm not working with someone who's been severed,
the treatment.
Which probably would happen. I mean, we get offended by many things.
And we've seen people protesting it in season 1, so it's believable that there's a big divide socially about it.
The Dylan's pretty, and we see in the car, I mean, maybe he's nervous, but it made me go, it makes sense that the Dylan's in, he's the most confident person in the world, that his Audi maybe is a bit of an anxious person. And
But you could say that the anxiety is what forms his competitiveness inside. He's like, I want to get this done. I want to get my rewards for it. But we've been told to do something. Like, that could be.
Simply because we like to overthink that, because the wife's audio seemed so clear and specific, we went, okay, if it had to be someone, if his wife had to be someone, who would it be? And we think it would be...
There's a couple of things.
The voice of the board, that woman.
It could be Natalie.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for it to be maybe, but maybe it does make sense for it to be maybe. What's her name in this show? I can't remember.
Gwendolyn.
So it could be Gwen. Could be Natalie.
She's such a notable actress that maybe she would be.
Yeah, but she seems too young, I think. Too gung-ho. But it would make sense as to why he's extra. Like, it's not just, I need to make sure I'm earning because I have a kid, but maybe, my wife's also just been let go.
Yeah.
Could be Natalie because he's embarrassed because she also works for Lumen but isn't severed.
Because what if Gemma worked for Lumen, even though we see she's a teacher. Maybe she was moonlighting as Lumen. So maybe all these people are connected. Like Irving had some partner who worked at Lumen, like his dad maybe worked at Lumen. So maybe that's why these people are connected.
Well, yeah, it's a giant Lumen town.
That they marry people and get them to work at, maybe, who knows. But yeah, like, there's a potential thumbnail. You can see it now, can't you? Natalie, Dylan's wife thumbnail? I just think that Dylan's wife's going to be somebody.
Yeah, I think we're in for another reveal with that for sure. Yeah. I feel like I need a thesaurus for interesting. I'm just saying it too much. Another food for thought when we see everyone getting fired is that Mark, again, it's really reinforcing how important he is, because Milchick doesn't fire him. He says, like, see you on Monday. And he went, oh, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So they would never have even considered firing him. They need him back. And that's clearly this Cold Harbor project being really important.
And Adam Scott, he's one of these things where you're like, God, he's such a good actor. He's more than just the American David Tennant, for me. Yeah. And when Milchick on the second visit invokes Gemma, it's almost, you get this sense of like, it's so subtle in his seriousness and his anger that he almost seems kind of uninterested in what anyone has to say. But when they invoke Gemma, particularly because now there's part of him that thinks, it's just 2%, that maybe Gemma is somehow alive because his innie had such a visceral reaction to her being alive, even though they said, oh, he was just excited the baby was alive. But the fact that he's holding the photo just kind of sets doubt in
Devon.
Right. And then we get a killer little Rickon line when he goes, the only debate is, do I start the chapter again next time? At the very start of the episode, he's wondering on the next read-through, should he just begin again since it was disturbed? And takes a bit of pride that his book inspired Innie Mark. That he says worky. I think he suggested in the first season that worky was a better term than Innie. So I think he uses the term worky.
With that like intense scene when Milchick did come back with the fruit basket, and we have this, and I hate it because it's Italian and I never remember with the C's and H's and how to pronounce it, but is it chiaroscuro lighting? But it is so beautiful because it's purposeful for that scene, because it does dust mark in this, like most of you can't even see the other side of his face, and it is this, again, this divide of innie and outie, but it's almost forming together on him this time around, where he's starting to combine. So even though we're seeing the separation in the lighting on his face, it almost represents this coming together of him trying to, unify. I guess, unify. That's a good word.
I just love Adam Scott's slight tonal change of when he goes, what about Gemma? Like, it's like very serious, like, careful what you're saying next. Just for some reason it made me think of fucking like Liam Neeson Taken, like I'm going to see Adam Scott do that stuff. But it gives that vibe, which I always enjoy in characters.
I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
They are desperate for Mark to be back because it seems he's the only one who can work on Cold Harbor.
Yeah.
Like it's stated, for at least until he's finished on Cold Harbor.
Yeah. Milchick offered an extra 20% pay bump. Like, will money help you come in? I think other benefits I can't remember.
And he does the whole, he's found love down there.
Yeah.
That love will come back to you. It'll feed its way up.
Which I would, if I was outie Mark, I'd hate that. I'd be like, oh, cool, so I've fucking moved on while I'm still out here grieving my wife. And he's getting his dick out. Like, what do you mean?
Milchick said, when we met, you told me that with Gemma dying every day felt like a year.
And you were like choking on her ghost.
Yeah, because we were saying when we were watching it the first time, going, well, isn't this a miserable experience because he doesn't have any work friends to help him get through this. He wakes up alone, goes back home alone. At least now it's because he's like, I'd rather just go to sleep. Like, it's basically what he's admitting.
Oh, yeah, he's severely depressed.
Yeah, severely depressed. So he'd rather just not be even cognitive for as long as possible.
They've said pretty directly that cloning would be the boring version of this. So then is Cold Harbor not cloning, but it's genuinely rebuilding people or bringing them back to life? Like he says, I saw her. I was the one that identified her. Which, yeah, you could question, do they just have fake bodies? Like, they've got all their, like, wax models of all their people, you know?
Stranger Things
exactly.
did that. And that was in the 80s.
And they've built really detailed animatronics in other perpetuity wings. So that's, you know, that's one thing. But maybe they genuinely take people who have just died and they figure out a way to try and get people, well, they're trying to figure out a way to get people to rebuild them or bring them back from the Frankenstein, that shit, baby.
When he's coming back to work, we get Milchick goes, you know, I did this in 48 hours, you know, like, and confirms that it hasn't been 5 weeks because the office and all that. He says, I got 2 from DX5.
Yeah, so 2 employees that were let go, so they were fired. We don't know why.
Yeah, and then they get brought back. And then they bring some, what's the wording? Some guy from Europe?
A guy from overseas, which we would assume is, was it Dario? Is that his name?
Yeah.
The wooden one?
Yeah.
So, again, I have no idea what country he's meant to have come from. But they were only, there for 3 days, and then they were then dismissed, and that's what's angered him. So they've been up, they were hired, 3 days it's been, and then they give our OGs back.
Because Mark gets up and he doesn't realise it's only been 12 minutes because we had that whole situation.
So we see him go into the lift at 9:03 and then he comes back out at 9:15.
Yeah, and because that was where he spoke to the board, and then that's when Helena is like, no, we need to bring them all back. The board approves or whatever, and we need to do this. We need to get Cold Harbour on track. And
I guess it's not clear when she says that if this whole time it's meant to be that she's been the board. But it wouldn't make sense because she's been an innie whilst they've had board discussions.
I'm still working on the board is some kind of uploaded consciousness of previous Egans, I think, anyway.
TBC.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
I think the board's weird for sure. We get that great one shot potentially, or at least it looks like a one shot. We don't get confirmation that Helena is pretending, but I just can't see the use in Helena allowing Helly to be down there.
Yeah, it's too much of a high risk.
It's too much of a high risk, and then that selfish, wouldn't mind getting my handheld.
They've still strategically kind of left it with Helena, that we don't know if she has...
I'm strongly suspecting that she's Helena.
I wonder if the creators expected people to jump onto the Helena theory so quickly.
Yes. Who knows? Maybe they're surprised we're already on this.
Because it might maybe string out a little bit longer.
This is an episode that wasn't directed by Ben Stiller, and I just felt there was a lot more playful shots here. Like the whole shot of her on the outside.
Oh, I love that shot. That was really good, yeah.
Obviously, I'm not saying, but it just, you could feel the slight differences. But also, the whole show's doing more interesting things. I say that, but then episode 1 had them doing that awesome running sequence.
Oh, yeah, it's
so
just...
they're
the
being more
cinematography's
playful.
always been amazing, regardless of who's directing or who's got the camera, thankfully.
It all feels like an agreed upon style while doing this. There's no handheld, it feels here. It feels everything's on a tripod, everything's on...
It's always smooth, calming.
Smooth, yeah, there's no
Which
handheld.
is, it comes into that mystery sort of thriller vibes that you want to build that. The final thing we see of this episode is Mark confronting Miss Selvig. Now, he did see her house once and she wasn't in there, and he almost hesitates. I wish that boy threw a rock through the window and went in and had a little snoop. Because I wonder if all her shrine stuff was still in there. But no, we cut to her packing, it seems like, her stuff, but it's only one light suitcase, but I guess maybe she wasn't properly living there. And Mark he's pissed, thank God. We see a little bit of flame, don't we?
Yes.
We see a little flame under old Marky's butt, and he just decides, like, I'm going to let her have it. Like, I'm actually angry.
Because you would be, you'd feel so violated. Like... You know, I ate your crap cookies. Basically, like, my wife has died. You were the only person. You were a bit strange. He's thinking you were at least kind. You know, like...
Yeah, that's the thing. He's like, I confided in you. I took you as someone to talk to when I didn't have other people around. Yeah. It would totally rock your world. And
this is the first time he's meeting her Cobel self. He's not meeting the weird, like, quirky
hippie
Selvig version.
Yeah.
So it would have been really weird for him.
That was the other funny line with the sister being so cold and sus to Milchick and being like, do all your employees commit lactation fraud?
Yeah.
So good. But Mark throws himself in front of the car to be like, this isn't over, mother bugger.
And he asks, is this to do with Gemma? And she gives enough for a man who thinks there's an inkling that his wife could be alive. That even though he's already working back there again, it definitely is going to make Audi Mark be a little bit more maybe going back to his sister and going, we need to try and figure this out.
Yeah, because she kind of hesitates and then kind of does this weird sigh, like obvious like conflict that she has.
And there's something that you mentioned that I'm sure, maybe, I doubt it's a plot hole, but in the first season, PD has that audio recording of the break room stuff.
Yeah, this is
Now,
another interesting
how
theory.
did he get that up there? Is it just because the woman who integrated him, she got it up there? She gave it to him. And then there's the disc that Helly has that goes up. Remember when she has the disc?
Yeah, her like
But maybe
resignation
they have
discs and
special
stuff.
permissions when it's like she needs to take this up there. It's okay. It's all approved. But there's this idea that maybe it's not. It's only words that can be tracked.
Yeah, because I think this theory was introduced lovingly by one of the people that commented. The coding system captures words when they go down, but we're getting tapes through. If Petey can get an audio recording through and Helly can take discs down with video footage, then what else can we do? Like maybe Mark can figure this out. Like there's so much potential there if they can get footage and
I mean, doesn't
audio.
even pick up on his extra card he brings down. Like, so, remember in the first season, he goes, the card. And I think even she says the trackers won't pick up on it. Maybe I'm putting that in a mouth.
card. Are you
Then when
talking
she
about-
gives him the security
Yeah,
guard's
but he does,
card,
and he finds it eventually.
yeah, but the fact the elevator
Doesn't
doesn't
pick up
go, oh, he's got something he's not meant to have.
Yes.
So, who knows? But as I said, there are explainable things to maybe how the tape got up there and how Helly got it up there, permission-based. The woman who severed him, unsevered him, brought it up herself. Who knows?
Full access, and it can't be tied to anyone. Take it to work tomorrow, he'll know what to do.
Feel like now we've had the dual season premiere and now we're finally going to get
Hit the ground running
Hit
with
the
some
ground
stuff,
running
getting some
now,
answers
so-
hopefully for things.
considering the last season was 9 episodes, this kind of felt like a dual episode one in some ways.
The production design or the choice, and whether or not it's going to be relevant later, of having this hyper futuristic but also really old school technology involved, like having these tape recorders, having these like square TV static type security cameras and stuff. It's a really strange blend of like super technology where you're severing brains and old technology.
Yeah, and every car is old at Pip's Diner, which I love it because it's one, an aesthetic choice, but particularly for Lumen, it makes sense in world that they would have stuff that isn't online. Like, no one can hack into security and get the tape. No one can hack into the refinery stuff.
And maybe this is a reflection of where it is now. And maybe it used to be very digital and we had all these extra wings and then they realized how easy they were to hack and had to bring it back down and bring all this old technology in. Who knows? There's so much, so many questions, so little time.
Yeah, I'm just, because I think we're going to see a lot more of everyone's outies now. We're going to have Irving and Christopher Walken's character have their stuff outside. I think we're going to get this Helena reveal soon, I think.
Yeah.
Sooner rather than later.
I do find myself sadly wanting the innie now that I'm watching all the outies. So I think I'm used to that season 1 structure of having a bit of both. So I want to be able to come back and forth between them to unfurl things. I hate having to wait, but I know it's probably purposeful.
We're definitely going to get it again. We're going to get a normal episode, an innie and outie episode. But, of course, this was another... It's the best show on TV, like, unquestionable, and I can't imagine they're going to drop it. Let's see where we go, but so far, quality has been top-notch so far this season. Back when Westworld was at the peak of its power, season 1, I remember reading an article going like, oh, the fucking theories harmed Westworld. Like, it's made the show not interesting. And I was worried people would say, or I was thinking, I wonder if you could put that criticism on this. But I think that's a dumb criticism because you and I are choosing to think about it in this way or go look on theories. But there's thousands of people or hundreds of thousands of people who just watch the episode and then they watch it next week and they don't think about it.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's on the creators if they decide to then derail their own thoughts because, oh, you already guessed it? Oh, I'm going to make a shitter version
And
now.
it's on the viewers to deep dive or not deep dive. It's completely up to a viewer.
You want your audience to be so in love with it that they want to guess what's going on.
I do think Ben Stiller's going to cameo himself as the Kier or some kind of
I
Egan.
don't want him to.
He does
I like
seem
him just being proud dad in the
yeah,
distance.
he does seem really pleased just being the director on this project.
Comment of the week, partial comment. This is like Talking Thrones, only smarter and much less cool. Because I feel like I have a nice amount of compliment and an equal amount of, hey,
Yeah.
hey.
Yeah,
Don't.
I wouldn't mind his 700,000 subscribers, though.
Comment of the week, all of the ones that said I was cute, funny, pretty, talented,